Chronic back pain is psychosomatic. What this means is that besides the physical part, there's a really strong emotional and mental part to it. And I don't know why, but nobody talks about this. Doctors in Western medicine uh, treat this as it's like a purely physical problem. You're going to be prescribed painkillers, maybe therapy or exercises. They're usually going to only target the body. And you're going to struggle with chronic back pain for months or even years, as in my case. I struggled with it for more than 10 years. I was really annoyed because I wasn't able to resolve this for such a long time, and it was really brutal. I had a lot of painful days, essentially, entire weeks even, of complete pain and misery. And I was always bothered by this problem, like, why can't this be resolved? Turns out I discovered years later that I was actually missing a key component of the problem here. I was not addressing this whole like other side of the problem, which is the emotional and mental components of it. To resolve these problems, first you need to become aware of them. Often they're deeply buried in our subconscious, and you kind of have to uncover them. You have to dig a little bit. For this, the ideal tool is actually journaling. The way I did this was I actually went on a trip in another city in a completely new environment when I knew where I knew nobody was gonna kind of bother me, nobody's gonna distract me, and there's not gonna be all of these like anchors with the environment. There's not gonna be like reminders and distractions and nothing like that. I was in a completely new environment. I just rented an Airbnb. I locked myself in the apartment, and for a few weeks straight, I just journaled, and I discovered a lot of issues that I'm carrying with me. They're actually kind of like weighing me down without me even being aware of them. And once I discovered them through a lot of journaling, and I talk a lot about this in a previous video that's published on this channel, but once I kind of discovered these issues, I noticed that they're still there. They're not really leaving me alone. I'm just even kind of like thinking about them more. I'm looping inside of my head like even more, and kind of even making them stronger in a way. And I actually think this is the major problem with the modern like psychotherapy. They usually kind of help people uncover the issues. They realize what's bothering them, but they're kind of struggling with the later part that should come after uncovering the issues, and that's releasing them. And you can actually do this pretty quickly. You see, releasing these issues cannot be a purely mental process. You cannot just do this with your head and with your thoughts. All of these issues and problems and all of these like traumas and negative experiences, I think honestly like they kind of get stuck in your body. That's why they kind of manifest as back pain, as chronic back pain. And unless you resolve them, they're gonna keep tormenting you, and you're gonna keep having back pain. And trust me, this was like a completely crazy idea the first time I heard it. I even rejected it for a few years. I decided not to engage with it, and I paid the price for it. I went through 10 years of really bitter, miserable back pain just because I was refusing to kind of even think about this possibility that maybe all of these like emotions and problems from the past, they kind of play a role in this whole mind-body connection. But the good news for me is that I finally yielded, I finally surrendered, and I was honestly like I was desperate. I decided to try anything. So I started experimenting with these approaches. First, I uncovered the issues. I discovered what was really bothering me during all of the journaling, and that kind of started to make the pain a little bit kind of like go away. I noticed like there is something there is value in this idea, but the problems remain. They even kind of started like just by me thinking about them, they were kind of getting amplified. And the solution here is actually to release these issues. And you cannot do that with your thoughts and your mind alone, as I mentioned before. It's usually a bodily experience. It's usually something that your body has to go through. It has to go through this intense process. And maybe it doesn't have to be intense for everyone, but I think for a lot of people, it's going to be really super intense. And once I did that, back pain completely went away. Now, the methods for releasing these issues, I think they're going to be different for everyone. Everybody kind of has like a language their body uses to express itself. So this may, for some people, it may look like, let's say, rage is what's your primary negative emotion. That's maybe what you discover is bothering you a lot. Usually, this is gonna look like a kind of like a conscious, but also surrendering to the experience of completely expressing rage. This is maybe gonna be like screaming or like thumping your chest or yelling or shaking. And for other people, it may be something like fear, and this may be like something like completely shaking and vibrating and like screaming stuff about like the fear getting out of you, like squeezing it out of you. It can be like a really intense and strange looking experience, but it works like gangbusters. A lot of people may struggle with guilt, and this is actually kind of like the most difficult one to get rid of, I think. This can maybe require like something like long walks and a little bit of a little bit of introspection and kind of like getting a lot of perspective and finally acceptance and forgiving yourself. It can take quite a lot of work, but you're in all of these methods, you're probably going to notice that your mind is not really involved. It's mostly something that your body has to go through. As I mentioned, I think this can look different for everyone. If you want to see how it looked for me, what are the methods that I used to resolve these issues, I have a free book on this subject. I talk about how I resolved the back pain after 10 years, and I talk about the methods I used for releasing trapped emotions and experiences. The link to it is in the pinned comment or description. Check it out. It's completely free. You're probably going to find the solution that you've been looking for all of these months or years, or however you've been struggling with back pain. So definitely see the book. I think you're going to find it to be massively valuable. Subscribe to this channel if you're struggling with back pain, because you are going to discover resources that actually help you. None of this useless like doctor, physical therapist kind of like nonsense that doesn't really help anyone. You're going to see what's actually working. I will see you in another video, and until then, be brave.